and lastly, the best of the months. So just a few facts about the Quran being revealed. So when the Quran was revealed, it was revealed in the most purest dialect in the Arabic language, and the revolution took about 20 years, of a period of time from 20 years. And so the Quran was revealed to our Prophet ﷺ, section by section in the Quran. So one really important topic was the Battle of Badr. So a lot of you guys know about the Battle of Badr. The reason of the Battle of Badr was the Quraysh, the non-Muslims, took all the wealth of the Muslims that were left behind in Mecca after the Muslims migrated. So the Muslims went and took over their earnings, and they went after the caravan of the Quraysh and the people of Quraysh. And so the Quraysh was actually led by Abu Sufyan. So it took place in Saudi Arabia on March 13th, 264 CE. And this war or battle was fought between Quraysh and the Muslims, led by the Prophet ﷺ. So the Muslims were actually outnumbered. So the Quraysh, they had about 1,000 soldiers, and the Muslims, we only had nearly about 300. So obviously the Muslims won the war, and by all the Muslim soldiers, thousands of angels were sent down by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one great thing that happened during this battle was that all the Muslims, the soldiers, they were all fasting during this. And so they also prayed. So they also prayed during this battle. And then one of the the best tactics that they used was the 3 and 3 and the wells. So the tactic of the wells was, a lot of people need water because they're fasting. So what they did was they took all the water and they closed the wells so the Quraysh wouldn't go in there. And then what they had for the 3 and 3 was 3 of the most strongest of the Muslims would go in front, and then they would keep going back as a pattern.
So as Selma explained the story of the Battle of Badr, it was truly a miracle because during the battle, the Muslims were largely outnumbered by the Quraysh. Despite this, their iman that they had for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was so surreal that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down 1,000 angels to help them fight the enemies. With the guidance and assistance from the Almighty, the Muslims gained the victory. The Quran says, وَلَقَدْ نَصَرَكُمُ اللَّهُ بِبَدْرٍ وَأَنْتُمْ أَذِلَّةٌ فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. Allah helped you at Badr when you were very weak. Be mindful of Allah so that you may be grateful. Surah Al-Imran, verse 123. Another event that happened during the month of Ramadan is the conquest of Mecca. The conquest of Mecca is a very significant event that happened during this sacred and blessed month. 6 years after the Battle of Badr and during the 8th year of Hijrah, our beloved Prophet ﷺ achieved to conquer the city of Mecca. However, this victory was very difficult to accomplish with the following obstacle. To be able to make the religious pilgrimage around the Kaaba peacefully, the Quraysh and Muslims formed a 10-year peace agreement called the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. This treaty allowed the Muslims to go to Mecca without any violence. Later on, the Quraysh violated the terms of the treaty and broke the agreement. To resolve this conflict, the Prophet ﷺ prepared an army of 10,000 soldiers to defeat the Quraysh. Successfully, the Quraysh had surrendered, and the beautiful home of the Kaaba was finally in the hands of the Prophet ﷺ. Fortunately, this prosperous upbringing benefited the spirit of the Ummah. Muslims were brought closer together as they were able to visit the house of God in peace. The Prophet ﷺ was able to win back his beloved home with a new and increased crowd of Muslims without any bloodshed, because the Prophet ﷺ, of course, always wanted peace. This time was truly heartwarming, as the Prophet ﷺ had never thought he would be able to enter into the favorite place again, since he was forced out of Mecca by the harassment of the Quraysh. So Ardita here is going to explain the next event, which was the death of Khadija radiallahu anha and Abu Talib. This is an Islamic event of losing a loved one. The death of Khadija radiallahu anha made the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam devastated, as she was his rock throughout the beginning of his prophecy. After the
Archel
Jibril alayhi salam revealed the Quran to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam resulted in shock. After hearing the surprise news, he goes to Khadija radiallahu anha, and she comforts him during this experience. With carrying the message, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam introduced it to Khadija radiallahu anha, and she became the first person and woman to accept Islam. Over 23 years that Khadija radiallahu anha was married to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she was a truly significant person. During the same year, the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ also passed away. This was very saddening for the Prophet ﷺ, because even though it is unpredictable whether he recited his shahada, he was the Prophet ﷺ's protector from the Quraysh, and he was very supportive. As a result of these devastating occurrences, this year is called the Year of Sorrow. As you all may know, Laylatul Qadr is a night during Ramadan, which is greatly emphasized. Laylatul Qadr, also known as the Night of Power, lies in the month of Ramadan. The exact day, which is Laylatul Qadr, is unknown. However, the most scholars agree that the Night of Power is on one of the last 10 days, odd days. The particular day being on the 27th of Ramadan. The Night of Power is very important because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran that this night is better than 1,000 months, and that whoever proceeds with acts of worship such as praying, making dua, or reading the Quran will receive good deeds. Lastly, Selma will go over another proceeding that happened during Ramadan.
Okay, so our last event during or important mark in history of Ramadan was the conquest of Andalusia. So the conquest of Andalusia began when the Muslims were conquering new lands in the world. So Muslims from Morocco conquered Andalusia, which is now modern-day Spain. And this was actually led by Tariq bin Ziyad. So the date of this conquest was 711 to 718. So first they started out invading or conquering South Spain, and towards that they slowly moved on to North Spain. Later in years, they conquered Portugal. So the result of this conquest was that the Muslims ended up being more successful with conquering more parts in the world. And so one thing that the commander was known for was that he told his soldiers that they should all burn their ships because there was no going back and only going forward. Here.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Thank you all for listening to today's presentation. Now, last week we also had a presentation like this, so if you weren't able to watch it, you can go on the United Islamic Center of Arizona Facebook page and watch our live stream video there. That topic is about how to make your Ramadan more meaningful. Thank you all for listening, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all.
Is it not working?
It's okay.
Okay. So one more thing really quickly is that if anybody has any questions, we would feel free to ask.
Inshallah, you guys did an amazing job today. Thank you very much for the presentation. Even the adults enjoyed it. We are running a little late, so we're going to start with our prayers, but next week, inshallah, you guys will have a little bit more time so we can go more into details of the questions.